Welcome back, seventh grade. It is time for another math video. This week, we're going to go this packet right here. This packet shows everything for these 2 weeks. It's a lot of material, and we're just going to go through it. I'm going to try to do a few problems from each section. If you have more questions, though, just email me right up here, eamaro@usd259.net. First topic we're going to go over is operating with signed numbers. I have already made a video about this. It is on my channel somewhere, but I will also put it in the description below if you guys want to check that out. So the first page has a bunch of problems that I think you can handle by yourself. This is from the second page, and it's a little more complicated, so I just wanted to go over this one. So we want to start off by going from left to right, and we're going to do two numbers at a time. So I'm going to do these two, and that would equal -7, because a positive and a negative value, when they come together, multiplication or division, it becomes a negative value. So -7 divided by -7 times 6. Next up, I need to do -7 divided by -7. And a negative make a +1. Now we have positive times 6. And obviously the answer is 6. So just make sure you're paying attention to the signs, and I don't think you guys are going to have a big issue with this section. You can always use your calculator to check, and if you're using your calculator to do the problem without even trying it on your own, you're kind of missing the point. Okay, so make sure you're trying without a calculator first. Continuing on in this section, they have this order of operations diagram. It says PEMDAS, and you know me, I don't like PEMDAS. I don't think it should start with a P. I think it should start with a G. And that G is for groups. So it's not just limited to just parentheses. It is including brackets and absolute value symbols and then fraction bars. If there's something on top of a fraction bar, you have to do that first. That is a group that you have to take care of before you worry about exponents and multiplication, division, all that. So groups are first. All right, so I want to tackle this problem over here. I need to think about the order of operations. Groups is first. So I have that those parentheses, and then whatever's inside the parentheses I have to take care of next. So 2 plus 5 times 3. I have to figure out which I want to do first, the addition or the multiplication. And if I look over here at the order of operations, I have to do multiplication first, and then I can do addition. Did the multiplication, now it's time to do the addition. That leaves me with -2 parentheses 17. And those parentheses, and with a number right here on the outside, that means multiplication. So I'm really doing -2 times 17. And that would give me my answer of -34. You guys can do all of these problems. Just ask yourself, are there any groups? Are there any exponents? Is there multiplication or division, and addition and subtraction? So addition and subtraction go together, and multiplication and division go together. So you guys can do those in the order from left to right. I'll talk about that in a minute. All right, now it's time for us to move on to evaluating algebraic expressions. This is the stuff that we started practicing, and I think we got pretty good at it, and we'll see how well you did. So when we're evaluating an expression, they're going to give us a value for the variable. So there's the t variable, and then it says the value for t is 9 3/4. So all we got to do is substitute in the 9 3/4 for the letter t, and then solve. So because they're fractions, it makes it a little more complicated, but we can handle this. So 9 3/4 divided by 3/4. What we're going to do is we're going to take this 9 3/4 and make it into an improper fraction. And then instead of dividing by a fraction, we're going to multiply, instead of divide, by the inverse of 3/4. It looks like this. Okay, so now I have 39/4. That is the improper fraction version of 9 3/4. So instead of dividing, I change it to multiplication. And then I flipped this, keep, change, flip, right? So it's 4/3 instead of 3/4. And now I can multiply straight across. So 39 times 4 and 4 times 3. So after I multiplied, I got 156 over 12. And then that's basically saying 156 divided by 12. Once I do that, I have my answer, which is 13. And now that is the end of this problem. And that is how you're going to be evaluating expressions. You are filling in the variable for whatever value they give you. Okay. All right, next topic is converting fractions to decimals. This is pretty basic stuff. All you're doing is division. It might be difficult as far as like doing long division without a calculator, but you guys are capable of doing it. I want you to try it without a calculator before you go and check your answer with a calculator. Be honest with yourself. That's how we learn. In this section, they have a bunch of word problems, so I'm going to do one of those. It says Jackson's startup business makes a profit of $450 during the first month of business. However, the company records a profit of negative $60 each month for the next 4 months. In the final months, his company makes a profit of $125. What is the total profit for the first 6 months of business? Okay. So I'm just going to make a basic chart for the first 6 months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to write down how much you made in each month. All right, so I reread the story problem and I put in how much money he made for each month. Now, all I have to do is add. So 450 plus negative 60 plus negative 60 plus negative 60 plus negative 60 plus 125. Once you have them lined up, you add them together. 335 is how much profit he made in the first 6 months of business. $335. All right, the last topic is expressions and equations. Now, I'm going to do 3 things for you to help with this: combining like terms, distributing, and factoring. We've done these before, so it should be quick, but here we go. All right, first up is combining like terms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle the terms that are alike. So this says 4.5x, and this is minus 3.5x. And then this has a y, this has no variable, so I can't combine those. So these two get combined, and then this one just goes straight down, and this one just goes straight down, and we will see what we get. We've combined everything we can combine, and that is our final answer. That's combining like terms for you. Next up is the distributive property. So we're going to take this -2 and we're going to distribute it to everything inside the parentheses. When we distribute, we are multiplying. So really we're going to do -2 times -4x and -2 times 7. So when we multiplied -2 times -4x, that gave us a positive 8x, and then -2 times a positive 7, we think of that whole thing together, and that's how we get a negative 14 or minus 14. So that is the distributive property. Now what we're doing over here on the factoring is the opposite, or the reverse of distributing. We are taking something out. For this problem, they give us a 2 right here. So this 2 is important because we are needing to figure out what our answer for the blank spot would be. So -6 divided by something equals 2. To figure that out, we could just do -6 divided by 2, and we would get that this is a -3. So far, our new expression looks like this. Now we have to figure out what is in the blank, and we're going to do -6x, and we're dividing it by -3 to find out what this is. And when we do that, we find that it would become a positive 2x. Again, we are using division here to figure this out, multiplication here, and then addition and subtraction over here. All right, guys, that's what all I have for you about the packets. I know that some of you guys are probably getting tired of the packets and tired of Mathia, or can't do iReady or something, but I have an opportunity for you to do something different. Ta-da! Does that look familiar? I hope so, because we did it a lot. So legendsoflearning.com, you need to log in as a student and then use this code, and there are 3 different lessons you can do. So just get on there and try it. It's open from now until next Wednesday, and then I'll try to load something else.